Thanks for joining us on the CBN News Channel. I'm Lori Johnson.
And I'm Mark Martin. Topping our news, Somali pirates have hijacked a yacht with 4 Americans aboard. The yacht's owners have sailed the world distributing Bibles. Today marks their 3rd day in captivity. Meanwhile, back here in the States, fellow church members are praying for their release.
Prayer tonight is for them, for their safety, for their families.
In California, churchgoers are praying for a quick return home of Gene and Scott Adam. The Adams have been sailing the world with a yacht full of Bibles since 2004.
Their feeling was that they had taken appropriate precautions, but overall they were fulfilling a dream. And when I asked if there's anything that anybody could do should something happen, her response was, well, just pray for us. We are fulfilling our dream.
That's our hope today, that these great people who are taking this holy word and giving it to so many people across this world, that they will somehow return and find safety and come back home.
Somali pirates hijacked the couple's yacht, Quest. 2 other Americans, Phyllis McKay and Bob Riggle of Washington State, are also on board. The ambush at sea took place in the dangerous waters nearly 300 miles off the Somali coast. An international warship is now actively tracking them as the hijacked yacht nears Somalia.
I think they're Americans. They must be rich and so be able to pay whatever ransom is demanded. I think, however, these pirates have made a grave mistake.
The last time pirates targeted an American vessel was in 2009. The hijacking of the Maersk, Alabama ended with all but one of the pirates killed by U.S. Navy sharpshooters. Merchant Marine Captain Richard Phillips was held hostage in the ship's lifeboat for 4 days. He told CBN News how he endured the experience.
I didn't pray for escape. I prayed for strength and patience. I prayed for the strength. God will let me have the strength to continue and know when to escape and the patience to wait for that time.
International warships now want to keep the pirates from making it to the Somali shore, where they and their hostages can easily disappear. Somalia is a lawless nation known for spawning pirates and radical Islamists.
There is no government in Somalia. When you don't have law enforcement, no police, no army, no intelligence in the community, this becomes a breeding ground.
The radical Islamic group Al-Shabaab rules much of Somalia. The group targets Christians, and some African missionaries caught working in the country have paid with their lives.
Washington is locked in a battle over the federal budget. The GOP-controlled House sent a $1.2 trillion spending bill to the Senate. It funds the government through this fiscal year, but it makes serious cuts to the budget, stripping over $60 billion in funding for things like public broadcasting and NPR, the Environmental Protection Agency, health care reform, and Planned Parenthood. Senate Democrats panned the Republicans' proposed cuts as draconian, and some fear the impasse could lead to a government shutdown.
If I have anything to fault with the House approach to it, I think they went too far in their cuts.
It's good for political rhetoric to talk about a government shutdown, but I don't know anybody that wants that to happen.
Lawmakers must reach a deal before March 4th, when government funding is scheduled to dry up.
And joining us from Washington with more on the possible government shutdown is CBN's Capitol Hill correspondent John Jessup. John, if there's one thing on which most Republicans and Democrats agree, we should say, it's that a government shutdown would be disastrous. So how likely can it be avoided?
Right, Mark. Well, right now it's in the hands of the Senate, where most Republicans and Democrats at least publicly say they want to avoid a government shutdown. The question really is a matter of political will, whether they can reach consensus on which government programs and services and agencies should be cut. Now, if both sides can't agree, it looks inevitable that a government shutdown will happen, and especially since Republicans have already ruled out a temporary extension like they've used in past Congresses. Republicans are also trying to tread lightly here because they remember the last government shutdown in 1995 didn't play so well in their favor, so they're trying, Mark, to avoid making some of the same mistakes this time around.
Well, John, what about the timeline? They're up against a tight deadline to reach an agreement, right?
That's right. As Lori mentioned, March 4th is when the funding dries out. Congress is out on break this week, which means lawmakers have only 5 days when they reconvene next week to get her done, if you will, and that leaves very little time to reach that consensus.
All right, John Jessup reporting from our Washington Bureau. Thanks again, John. We appreciate it.
Sure, Mark.
The showdown over union rights in Wisconsin could end soon. There's talk that a handful of Republican lawmakers there will break with the new governor and force a compromise. But 14 Democratic senators are still hiding out in Illinois, blocking a vote on the issue. Heather Sells has more.
The impasse in Wisconsin has captured national attention as it pits union rights against balancing the budget.
Democrat, Republican, all of us, this is important because we can't sustain this spending anymore. We can't.
Since the 90s, our salaries in Wisconsin, the average teacher salary has fallen all the way to 28th in the nation. We're below average.
Now there's talk that some Republican lawmakers may be open to compromise, even as their governor says he won't back down.
But again, we're broke. We got to balance the budget. And the only alternative is to say 5,500 state workers next budget could be laid off, 5,000 to 6,000 teachers and local government workers could be laid off. I don't want to lay anybody off. And I don't think that's a good alternative. So for us, we're going to stay on the side of saying, give them the tools, give them the modest opportunity for local governments as well as the state to balance their budget, and then we're going to stay firm on that.
Wisconsin Republicans say taking away collective bargaining rights is the only way to balance the budget. At stake, a $3.6 billion deficit. But Democrat lawmakers say no way, refusing to show up just to prevent a vote. Teachers have also come under criticism for walking off their jobs and shutting down schools by calling in sick. Students suspended for playing hooky might question the sight of doctors writing sick notes for protesters needing to explain their absence from work.
Do you think you could get in trouble?
Really good about where I am right now. Certainly. We think it's worth the risk.
Talk of compromise is now in the air. One idea being floated: take away collective bargaining rights for 2 years and then restore them. The Republican-controlled Assembly is expected to meet tomorrow. It needs one Democratic vote to take up the issue. Heather Sells, CBN News.
And we turn now to the deadly battle for democracy in Libya. Protesters reportedly have taken control of the second largest city, Benghazi, and security forces fought for control of Tripoli's city center overnight. Snipers opened fire from rooftops, and Muammar Gaddafi supporters fired shots from speeding vehicles. Gaddafi's son warns that Libya is not Egypt or Tunisia. He vows that his father and security forces will fight, quote, until the last bullet. So far, thousands have been wounded and at least 200 people have been killed.
Oh, my God. They are firing the civilians here. They are crazy. They are going crazy here.
There are like plenty of them, maybe more than 200. All the hospitals are full of, dead bodies. Even the fridges are full.
Disturbing. Meanwhile, protests continue in Bahrain, and in Yemen, thousands marched on the capital this weekend.
As protests rock dictatorships across the Middle East, the big question is, will they lead to democracy or more tyranny? CBN News asked former Soviet dissident Natan Sharansky his perspective on these earth-shaking events.
Natan Sharansky spent 9 years behind bars for opposing tyranny in the former Soviet Union. His imprisonment made him a universal symbol for those oppressed under dictatorships. He's optimistic about what's happening throughout the Arab world.
We have to understand that this revolt of Arab street against dictators is something natural, something which will inevitably happen. No dictatorship can keep the people under control all the time.
Since his release in 1986, Sharansky has championed democracy and spread his views through his influential book, The Case for Democracy. For too long, he says, the West has supported Arab dictators and now must support genuine democratic reform.
We will give all our support, we will give our recognition, we will give our money, but only on the condition of democratic reform.
But Sharansky says those reforms are much more than just free and fair elections.
Freedom, it's not about immediate elections. Freedom, it's free elections and a free society. And the most important thing that these democratic changes cannot happen one day. There have to be few years of democratic reforms, of building institutions.
He cites one dangerous example from 2006, when the U.S. State Department wanted Hamas to participate in elections. The result, Hamas won a majority in the Palestinian parliament and eventually took over the Gaza Strip, resulting in another dictatorship. Some warn the same thing could happen in Egyptian elections with the Muslim Brotherhood. The key, Sharansky says, is who's allowed to participate.
Everybody will be permitted to participate, but only those who accept the rules of democracy.
Sharansky believes the West can play a role, and he's got a recommendation for the U.S. Congress.
I would immediately now bring amendment to all our assistance to Egypt, saying that essential part of this assistance has to go to democratic institutions.
Sharansky is hopeful millions throughout the Middle East might find freedom.
If it will be done cleverly, but firmly by the leaders of the free world, I believe it is possible today that finally Arabs in Egypt and in the other countries will stop living in fear society.
Time will tell, and history will judge if Sharansky's hope will bear fruit. Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Jerusalem.
2 Turkish Christians are challenging a judge's ruling that they pay more than $7,000 in fines or face jail time. Authorities had charged them with insulting Turkey and its people by spreading Christianity. They were acquitted of those charges but convicted on a lesser offense. One of the men tells CBN News that authorities are trying to discourage Christian evangelism in Turkey.
Coming up, a President's Day perspective from Lincoln to Kennedy, how the media have molded the images of America's leaders.
In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth.
These are the greatest stories ever told. Presented by Academy Award winner Charlton Heston.
Thus saith the Lord of Israel, let my people go.
Join Charlton Heston as he travels the sacred lands of the Bible.
I'm going to take you with me on a journey exploring the stories in the Bible and the ancient land where they happened. This is said to be the very garden. This, the very rock where Jesus prayed for strength.
Now the Bible comes to life like never before. Time Life presents Charlton Heston's The Bible.
And Moses cast the tablets from his hands.
Praised by critics, this landmark TV series is now available on digitally remastered DVDs. You'll be inspired by the greatest stories from the Old and New Testaments, enhanced by historic works of art. Get Charlton Heston Presents the Bible on 4 DVDs for $49.99. Call with your credit card and save $10.
And Abraham stretched forth his hand and took the knife to slay his son.
And that's not all. You'll also get a free bonus DVD that takes you behind the scenes. And if you call in the next 10 minutes, we'll ship for free. That's an additional savings of nearly $7.
For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory, forever and ever.
Call now to get Charlton Heston's The Bible on 5 DVDs for just $39.99. Call in the next 10 minutes and we'll ship for free.
Now therefore go, and I will be with thee.
Call 1-800-748-5167 to order Charlton Heston Presents the Bible for $39.99 and receive free shipping when you call in the next 10 minutes with your credit card.
Welcome back. About 22 million children in America are growing up in single-parent homes, and in most cases, the missing parent is the father. That missing piece sent one of our own reporters, Ephraim Graham, on a personal journey to find his dad, and it will be featured on the Oprah Winfrey Network tonight in a show called Searching For. Here's a preview.
Tell me about your father. What's the story?
I know so little in my mind. I remember getting a phone call, and he said, "Hi, this is your dad. I'm going to come to meet you. And we'll probably go, if I remember correctly, to Coney Island." I didn't know what Coney Island was, but I knew there would be rides, and it was supposed to be fun.
And you're 5 at this time.
5.
Okay.
He never came. Saying that we saw each other 10 times would be generous.
Wow. Ephraim tells us he decided to share his story in hopes of inspiring others. And you can catch it tonight at 9 o'clock on the Oprah Winfrey Network.
Jane Hampton Cook fell in love with the history of the U.S. presidency when she worked in the White House for George W. Bush. Now she's turned that passion into literature with her latest children's book coming out this President's Day. Paul Strand has a look.
Jane Hampton Cook wants kids to be fascinated with our history and our presidents. In her new book, What Does the President Look Like?, Jane ties the evolution of image capturing to how Americans have come to see their presidents. We're used to seeing images of our president every day, and even our first president on the dollar bill all the time. But imagine being alive in his time. Unless you met him in real life or saw him in portraits like these, you'd have no idea what your president looked like. We found Jane at this church school in Vienna, Virginia, reading her new book and talking about the presidents with some kids there, including two of her boys.
So Austin, you can wear this hat.
It wasn't until Abe Lincoln that Americans began to see the actual real image of their president. Abe thought it was crucial to get out a photo of himself because opponents had made him look like such a backwoods buffoon in cartoons.
Matthew Brady took a photograph of him, and that really dignified Lincoln's image. He said to Matthew Brady at the inaugural ball, "You helped elect me president."
Jane told the kids why it was ironic that Silent Cal Coolidge had that nickname in that particular era of films.
Back in the 1920s, there was no sound at the movies. You couldn't hear anything. You could only see the pictures. And so it fit that the newsreels of Calvin Coolidge were silent, and his nickname was Silent Cal.
There's some humor, too, about FDR being the first president on TV.
He was the first president to go on television, but there were only 200 television sets in the entire country, and I think they were all in New York. So not very many people saw him. It wasn't in widespread use. It was a novelty.
But by the 1960 John Kennedy-Richard Nixon debate, the TV image had become an absolutely crucial factor in politics.
People who watched it on television thought Kennedy won because his whole persona came across so much better on television. But people who heard the broadcast on radio and didn't see it thought that Nixon's answers were better. So it really did make a big difference in that election.
The presidency, sometimes the image, is as important as the reality. Paul Strand, CBN News, Washington.
Up next, could we be seeing the dawning of a new age in Washington? See what's causing members of both parties to cross the aisle.
What makes the miracles of Jesus even more miraculous? Standing where they happened, in Israel. Come explore Jerusalem, where Jesus opened blind eyes. Visit the hills of Galilee, where Jesus fed the multitude. Stroll through Capernaum, where Jesus lived and taught and healed. To learn more about standing where it all happened in Israel, visit www.goisrael.com. Come visit Israel.
Endless pools are an incredible alternative to traditional pools, making it easy and inexpensive to swim at home. Call our toll-free number or visit our website. A free idea kit and DVD will be sent to your home so you can discover all the benefits of owning your own pool. Compared to traditional pools, endless pools are simple to install, easy to maintain, and economical to run. Our precision-engineered pools enable you to swim or exercise against a smooth current that adjusts to any speed and ability. Endless pools are perfect for year-round health and fitness, relaxation, and family fun. Our free idea kit and DVD will show you how easy it is for the whole family to enjoy a pool right in your backyard or home. An endless pool or an endless pool swim spa can become a showplace for your home. Call our toll-free number or visit the website to find out more about endless pools. The free idea kit will show you just how easy it is to be able to swim at home.
What makes the miracles of Jesus even more miraculous? Standing where they happened, in Israel. Come sail the Sea of Galilee, where Jesus calmed a raging storm. Experience Jerusalem, where Jesus restored a paralyzed man. Explore Capernaum, where Jesus spoke a centurion servant into health. To learn more about standing where it all happened in Israel, visit goisrael.com. Come visit Israel.
I have a Christian worldview, and so it shapes the way that I view issues. And I don't apologize for that, and I don't think that people of faith ought to shrink away from being in the public arena.
That's Senator John Thune talking to CBN News about how his Christian faith affects his politics. Two other members of Congress are also putting their faith into action.
One's a Republican and the other a Democrat. And nearly 6 weeks after the deadly Tucson shootings, they're still working to restore civility to politics in America. David Brody has more.
After Tucson, there were moments of silence. Tears on the House floor.
Our hearts are broken, but our spirit is not.
And a bipartisan call for civility, which led to the symbolic gesture of Democrats and Republicans sitting together at the President's State of the Union address.
We want to change the tone and show the public that we can work together.
And it was civil.
What comes of this moment is up to us. What comes of this moment will be determined not by whether we can sit together tonight, but whether we can work together tomorrow. And I believe we must. That's what the people who sent us here expect of us.
A month later, though, there are skeptics.
The tone has been changed as a result of Tucson, at least temporarily, and we don't know how long that will last.
The parties have become more ideological. Remember, there used to be liberal Republicans and there were conservative Democrats from the South. Now the Republican Party is ideologically uniformly conservative, and the Democratic Party is almost uniformly liberal. And when you have that ideological difference, they're going to clash more than they did in the past.
The president promised more cooperation with Republicans. And while they have been meeting together,
We had a very nice lunch with the president and vice president.
The differences are obvious.
I guess the particulars and the details will be where the disagreements may lie.
Remember the battle over health care? Well, it's not over. And the debate over cutting spending, that's not going to be easy either.
The political industry, which is now a real industry in a way that it wasn't 20 years ago, is geared only for combat. It is not geared for compromise, cooperation, or anything else.
Don't tell that to these two congressmen who recently joined me on the Brody File.
We shouldn't buy the world's idea that prayer is the last resort. Well, I guess all we can do is pray about it, but it should be the first resort.
Democrat Mike McIntyre and Republican Randy Forbes lead the Congressional Prayer Caucus. That's helped them develop a close friendship despite their political differences.
Mike and I may disagree on issues, but you would never find a situation where I would say anything bad about Mike, or I don't think him say anything bad about me.
They say prayer could be what other members of Congress need to share in order to come together.
A lot of times someone will engage me and they can talk for 45 minutes. They're so fired up or upset about, or passionate about an idea, and then I'll say, well, would you take 5 minutes to pray about it? And I've never had anybody say no, they wouldn't. Usually they kind of pause a minute like, really? And I say, yeah, I mean, do you know there is a prayer caucus and that we do seek wisdom? And obviously if you're that passionate about helping your country or wanting us to make the right decisions about things, will you join us in prayer about it?
The prayer caucus comes together here on Capitol Hill before votes each week, and it's growing. It's standing room only in there, both Republicans and Democrats. Now, prayer may not be the first thing that all of these members of Congress think about, but it's clear that they're doing something right, and it could lead to a model for others in this quest for civility. Mark DeMoss, an influential figure within evangelical circles, says Christians play a vital role.
I think as people that identify ourselves as followers of Christ, we have even a greater responsibility to behave a certain way.
What is the role of Christians that are listening to a conversation like this? Because the vitriol, honestly, it also does come from some conservative, moderate Christians.
You may disagree with them philosophically on an issue, but please remember that God also created them. And, you ultimately hope that their heart and mind, will come to a realization that in their faith, they can deal with this issue. And whether they come to the same conclusion or not, that's ultimately up to them.
You can sometimes disagree with someone without really vilifying that person. And we're not perfect in that. I mean, right. Mike takes a lot of hits from his party. I take hits from my party because of our relationship. But yet we think it's so important that we do that for Congress and hopefully changing that tone, but also for the country.
There you have it, civility in progress, and something for the White House and congressional leadership to think about. David Brody, CBN News, Washington.
Well, I think that was a start when they sat together at the State of the Union address. But like the one man mentioned there in the piece, you know, it does seem like it's geared more for combat than compromise these days on Capitol Hill.
That's right, and we need to pray for them.
That's right.
All right, we'll be right back.
Millions of women worldwide love Bare Minerals.
This is smooth, it's nice, and it covers. I like that.
Only Bare Minerals looks like beautiful bare skin, while it covers whatever you want it to. And now you can get our latest kit with our totally new, totally spill-proof Click Lock Go foundation. For over 75% off retail, our new kit comes with Bare Minerals foundation in the shade that's just right for you. Warmth for a healthy glow. Mineral Veil, the ultimate finishing touch. And Bare Minerals Flawless Application Brush. Call now and get 3 full-size gifts worth $57.95 free. Purchased separately, you'd spend over $120. Our original Get Started kit was a great deal at 2 payments of $29.99. But now you can get all this for just 1 payment of $29.99. Save over $90 and get a 30-day money-back guarantee.
Call 1-800-376-4174. Ask how you can receive this handy compact. Call 1-800-376-4174 now.
It's impossible to close an open can with a pop top. Open cans spill in the fridge. What a mess. And open cans lose their fizz. What a waste. Introducing Bottle Top. It turns your can into a bottle with the snap of a cap. Open metal cans can't travel. What a waste. Bottle Top turns your can into a bottle that's perfectly portable. You can't do this with an open can. Bottle Top lets any soda keep its carbonation. Look, bugs are gross, but Bottle Top protects your drink from insects. When you're done drinking, just pop it off. Rinse under hot water and reuse. Bottle Top keeps drinks from spilling. Now get 6 colored bottle tops for just $10. Call now and get 6 more. Plus, we'll send you the can top popper. Just pay separate shipping and handling. You get 12 amazing bottle tops, plus the can top popper, all for just $10.
Call 1-800-377-9176. But hurry, call now. We're giving away a bonus 6 more bottle tops and the can top popper with today's orders. That's 1-800-377-9176. Call now.
That was the reaction Sunday as Trevor Bayne captured the victory at the Daytona 500.
Yeah, Bayne is the youngest winner in the history of the Daytona 500, pulling off the win only 1 day after his 20th birthday. He finished 0.118 of a second ahead of Carl Edwards. CBN Sports reporter Sean Brown was in the pits to record his reaction.
How does it know the Lord chose you to win today?
Man, God's just drawing us closer to Him in every experience, and that's what we prayed about before the race. Whether it was a good result or a bad result, we'd just be drawn closer. And He taught me something yesterday, you know, in that race. And you never know what His plan is, but I can guarantee if you stick with Him, He's going to have something good for you.
Into that. That's great. He's a Christian. This year's Daytona 500 had a record 74 lead changes among 22 drivers. It also had a record 16 cautions that knocked out many of the leaders.
So encouraging to see some of these sports figures put the Lord first in their lives.
Right, and give him the credit.
Yeah, and he's just had his driver's license for only 3 years. That's all the time we have for this edition of CBN Midday.
That's right. You can find more of today's headlines, top headlines, along with exclusive coverage of the issues you care about the most.
Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again tomorrow.
Have a good day.
We created this website as a place where kids can learn the Bible in a whole new way.
Kids will love Superbook.tv. Their games, the ability to create your own personal Superbook characters. We even have a place for kids to listen to music on Superbook Radio.
Superbook is CBN's animated series that teaches the Bible through the eyes of 2 friends and their robot sidekick. We're going to tell stories all the way from creation to Christ's return.
The website also teaches kids life lessons. Parents can spend time online with their kids learning about the Bible.
Superbook and Superbook.tv are entirely gospel-centered, and by supporting it, you'll help bring God's Word to children all over the world.
We're reaching a new generation with the gospel of Jesus Christ. Together, we can give today's kids the truth of the Bible in a fun and exciting way that will change their lives.
Visit Superbook.tv today.
I had chased the record deal for years with no results. And then I let it go and I turned it over to him, and then there it is. I want people to know that You can't be bad enough for God to not love you or forgive you or to give you a second chance. He doesn't give you the right to judge you, so stop there. Learn to love you the way He loves you. And then you can enjoy life more than you've ever enjoyed it before.